The Gunners triumph, Manchester United struggle, and it's 6-goal heaven for Chelsea. This is So You Think You Know Ball.
All aboard the game train.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of So You Think You Know Ball. The second weekend of Premier League action is in the books, and we're going to dive into the key takeaways from this weekend. We will get to Manchester United, the title of this episode. We're going to do a deep dive on them to finish off, but we got to start with the big game. This is a game that I talked about when we were previewing this weekend's fixtures. Arsenal travelling to Aston Villa, and they come out with an impressive 2-0 victory. So this was a tough fixture for Arsenal. They needed to get the W, and they got the job done. My initial prediction that Ollie Watkins still needs a bit of time to get going shone through and gifted Arsenal the result in a lot of ways with those two shocking misses that he really should have converted, if not both, at least one of them, even though the second one was a stunning save from David Raya. But Arsenal, yes, of course, they had to ride their luck a little bit with those Watkins chances, but they kept playing their game. They still felt relatively in control throughout the game. And again, they got a bit lucky with their goals. The ball just happening to break to Trossard, but that was a really quick, instinctive finish from him. And then, of course, Martinez, you expect him to do better with that effort from Partey. But in general, these are the types of games that Arsenal lost last year and usually lose kind of quite regularly. So this is a great early sign that this Arsenal team has once again grown, are once again ready to bring that fight to Manchester City, and are showing up and showing out. They're gonna be here for the season. They're not gonna fall away right now. This is Arsenal's time. They feel that way. I was disappointed in Saka. I felt he had a pretty underwhelming performance again. I know he obviously gets the assist for that Partey goal, but for the most part, he didn't really take the game by the horns in the way that I would have liked to have seen him do. But obviously, that's no big deal. He'll probably go and score a hat trick next week against Brighton or something ridiculous like that. So I can't criticize him too harshly. But again, another big game that he kind of just let slip by. I feel like Arsenal are going to need more from as these bigger games continue to come throughout the season. When you think of games like away to Newcastle, the part of the double with Manchester City, the double against Liverpool, those games that are likely going to be ultimate title deciders, really, in my opinion. Those are the games that I think Saka's going to have to deliver more consistently in those games, and he can't just do it against the lesser teams. It has to be he has to start showing up consistently in the big games. It can't just be the odd North London derby or the odd game against Manchester United. We have to see it against City. We have to see it against Liverpool. We have to see it going to tough away places. That's going to be the next level that Saka has to get to really become like a true superstar and really be considered one of the absolute best players in the Premier League. But on the whole, great result for Arsenal. Great performance. Maybe a stretch, but getting that win makes it a great performance. The early on in the season, a tough away game like that, just second game of the season, to come out with a win there, that's so impressive from Arsenal, and that's a great sign for them moving forward that they're once again locked in and ready for a huge title fight with Manchester City. Speaking of Manchester City, Erling Haaland. Yes, I know they're playing Ipswich, but Erling Haaland is just a joke. He hit his 7th hat-trick since joining Manchester City. He averages a hat-trick every 10 games in the Premier League. That is absolutely insane. Think about it like this. Aguero holds the record for most Premier League hat-tricks with 12. He averaged a hat-trick every 23 games, which is absolutely unbelievable. Haaland at the moment is averaging one every 10 games. And I think you can put it in the books that he could very likely have 10 total, if not more, hat-tricks by the end of the season. He will absolutely eclipse that Sergio Aguero record. The goal scoring is just absolutely phenomenal. And again, like I mentioned before, this guy is just so talented in the box. He's just such an intelligent forward that no one matches him in the box. He does things better than anyone else in the Premier League when it comes to being in the penalty area, being in the right position to score goals. And that's why his general play doesn't matter a jot. That's why he's able to play for Pep Guardiola. That's why he is the lead striker. That's why he's going to win the Golden Boot every year. That's why he's going to be considered for the Ballon d'Or, because he scores goals. And if you're looking to criticize Erling Haaland and just trying to play down that he wouldn't do it in a lesser team, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's done it at Borussia Dortmund. He's done it wherever he has been, and now he's doing it at City. You earn the right to play for the best teams. Erling Haaland has done that absolutely insane score of goals, next level, and I'm scared to think of the total that he could do this year if he ends up playing 35 games this year. I'd like to see him put in he'll put a push on to break his own record. That's how good of a goal scorer he is. That's what we almost expect from Erling Haaland at this stage. Moving over to the team that Manchester City beat in the first week, Chelsea. I made a point of saying how important the game against Wolves was. I kind of highlighted the performance rather than the result, and I guess they got both. They definitely got the result. A whopping 6-2 scoreline on the road. That's always impressive. Anytime you score 6 goals away from home, anytime you score 6 goals full stop, you just gotta sit back and applaud. The performance was good, but again, they were playing Wolves and they gave up a lot of chances. Wolves had a better XG than Chelsea did in this game. Again, the problems that face Wolves is they make these so many chances, but they cannot convert, and that's why they end up in the middle to lower half of the table every year, because they just cannot score enough goals. And we saw that again against Chelsea, and ultimately Chelsea's forwards were clicking today. And that's what can happen. They do have an abundance of talent, especially in the forward positions. And on the days when it does click, it's always going to be fairly unstoppable. Now, especially in the second half, it felt like they always had a man over on that right-hand side. I don't know what Wolves were doing. Where was Aït-Nouri? Didn't feel like he was ever in position. Like, Chelsea did a great job of creating the overloads and making it easy to get their goals in the second half. Great signs for them. Obviously, Palmer delivered, because we always know Palmer is going to deliver. While his goal was impressive, I think the keeper for Wolves did a terrible job of getting back in position. When the ball was going to Jackson, he was way too slow to try and get back towards his goal. Obviously, an exquisite finish from Palmer, but poor from the goalkeeper. And then in the second half, Palmer just turned into the assist man. All of them pretty easy, but again, he was in the position to do it. And then Madueke getting that hat trick, like, that's so huge for Chelsea fans to see him really clicking into gear. And like, like, he's one of the guys that I think Chelsea fans want to believe in. He's one of the guys that want to be the number one guy in this team. Think about, like, the dream, I think, forward line for them is Neto, Palmer, Madueke, and Jackson up top. And then you think maybe you still have Felix, you still have Nkunku. I mean, there's still so many players that you have to try and fit in there. But I think for most Chelsea fans, that would be the squad that they really hope takes the initiative and earns their place in that starting lineup. They were impressive today. Hopefully that's a sign to continue, especially from Madueke. Consistency is the key, because if you're not consistent, Palmer is the only guy that's really proved himself. He's the only guy that's kind of untouchable in the Chelsea lineup. Everyone else, for the most part, feels like they could be replaced with the amount of players that Chelsea do have. If the form isn't there, they'll get hooked. And that's, in a way, it's almost a good thing. There is, like, there's no drop off for any of these players. If these players are not playing up to scratch, they will not be in the team. Final point on that one, Joe Felix obviously coming off the bench and scoring was big. That last goal was probably the best goal I think the Chelsea scored on the day. That was a really impressive, well-worked move. Can he be a legitimate contributor? Can he be a real show off the talent? That's why Atletico Madrid spent over 100 million to try and get him originally. When he was on loan at Chelsea, he was pretty poor. They didn't seem to really like him. I don't know what they've really seen since to want to be able to bring him back. But he clearly has the talent. Does he have the mentality? Does he have the physicality to continue to strive in the Premier League? That remains a question mark. But obviously, good vibes straight after the bat. Like, today was just such a good vibes result for Chelsea after being drawn the tough straw by having to face City in their opener. They go into the next game, and what many will feel like the real opener for Maresca. They score six goals, hat-trick from Madueke, goal and a hat-trick of assists for Palmer. Felix comes off the bench and scores. Jackson also gets a goal. Pretty much a dream day for Chelsea fans, and interesting moving forward to see, do we see more days of their forwards clicking like this, or do we see more days where it's awkward and clunky and they can't get the results? That's going to determine whether or not Chelsea are a top four threat or whether or not they're battling just to get into the Conference League again. Liverpool, they impressed. Home debut for Arne Slot. 2-0 win. They were under a little bit of pressure. Brentford are just that solid side. They know how to stay in games. Really big in this game was Luis Diaz. His opener was just a superb counter attack, great finish from him. Then he obviously was able to play through Salah to get the clinching goal. Diaz's form has dipped of late. I know he obviously had off-field issues last year with everything that went on with his father and other things like that. If he can get back to consistently delivering in terms of goals, assists, final ball, that really takes Liverpool to that next level, because he is such a talent. When he is on it, like when he first signed for Liverpool, that was in January that season, and for the rest of that year, he looked absolutely red hot, really, really impressive. Every game, he looked so dangerous. They get back to that, the quality, Diaz on the left, Salah on the right, and Jota through the middle, like that's an insanely talented forward line. I would say when they're all clicking, they're the best after Cities. I think they have ups on the Arsenal front three for sure. So if that's the sign of things to come, and slot ball continues to develop, I mean, they played some nice football today. They travel to Manchester United next week, and the only thing that's stopping me as a Manchester United fan from worrying that we're going to get hammered is the fact that I thought that for the last 2 seasons at Old Trafford, and it hasn't come to fruition. So I'm hoping that United step up for that one-off game. They're going into the international break. They play it like a one-off game and are able to pull out a result in that one. But slot ball looks very interesting. Liverpool, impressive again. 2 wins from 2. Great start to the season for them. Last one mentioned in detail will be Everton, Spurs. Spurs 4-0 winners. Everton are they're just pathetic. I mean, this feels like the year that they're finally going to go down. All the stuff off the field, the fact that they're just not able to bring in any players. The only thing that's going to save them going down is just the lack of quality we might see from the 3 promoted teams. That really might be the only saving grace for Everton. I mean, they always start seasons bad, but 7 goals conceded in 2 games, 0 goals scored in 2 games. It's just starting to look really bad. They're already deep in the negative in terms of goal difference, and they're going to have to start their organized play, their clean sheets, their lucky 1-0 wins. They usually start that around February or March. I'm thinking this year they might need to start a little bit earlier if they're going to survive, but they're looking really bad so far this year. Spurs were impressive. Obviously Son getting 2 goals, that's great. Van de Ven, that attacking run, the recovery he made after appearing to injure himself in the first half, and then that run to set up Son's final goal was just so impressive. They can keep him fit this year. It makes such a difference to their backline. I was disappointed again in Maddison and Brennan Johnson. They really need to do more, especially against the likes of Everton. They really need to have a bigger influence on it. Maddison in terms of controlling and creating chances. Brennan Johnson just in terms of his final ball and then finishing, like it's just very, very average. And he hasn't really risen to the level of a Spurs player, of a top tier player or top half of the table team player since leaving Forest. I know he's still a young player and hasn't really got complete opportunities just yet, but I need to see more from him. He's looking like a bit of a flop of a signing so far. I was disappointed in him again yesterday, and I haven't really seen much from him to make me believe he's going to be Spurs' starting right winger moving forward. But obviously getting the 4 goals, first game at home, solid performance. There's still more to come from Spurs, but great job they did to get that result. We also saw wins for West Ham. I mentioned before, Lopetegui really needed that win. He got that impressive 2-0 away win against Crystal Palace. That's great for him. Great to bounce back straight away after losing the home opener. We also saw all the newly promoted teams lose once again, which was a worry. Obviously, Forest beating Southampton 1-0, Fulham beating Leicester 2-1, and we know Man City did a job on Ipswich. It was impressive when Ipswich got that goal. I remember thinking, maybe there's a miracle coming on. But then it was 3-1 within like 10 minutes. So, yeah, the hope didn't last too long. Again, Smolak's got a goal. The run for that goal was great. If he can score consistently, like I was saying before, if he's able to score goals consistently for Ipswich, that is going to give them a shot at staying up. But we have to wait and see if that's something that really comes true. The promoted teams aren't looking great so far. Still early days in the season, but I worry that they're all three of them could end up in a real relegation fight all year. They're just lucky that they're going to see the likes of Everton. Maybe a couple of other teams are going to struggle so badly that they might not be so cut adrift, especially in the early months of the season up until around January, February. Then we get to the big one. Manchester United. The title of this episode is Erik Ten Hag destined to get sacked? My answer to that is no. But I can't say it with the conviction that I want to say it, if that makes sense. I believe Erik Ten Hag deserved the chance to manage a third season. At the end of the day, he came into Manchester United and it was a mess. He came in and they were a cup team. They still probably are a cup team. So that first season was immense, finishing in third place and winning that cup. Great first season. Obviously, we had a drop off last year. We finished our lowest ever league position ever. A minus goal difference, most losses in a league season ever. Struggling to score goals, but we end up winning a trophy. We are just in a transitional period right now, and I know it's been going on forever, but this transitional period actually, it feels real. It does feel like there's a chance that we're actually heading in a direction that we could come out on the right side of. Maybe 2 years from now, we could be in a position where we are one of the teams that legitimately has a chance to go for the title, whether that be under Erik Ten Hag or somebody else. But I think he needs to commit and play his best team. That's simply what he has to do. We have seen this 4-2-2-2 sort of formation with the Bruno kind of playing that false nine sort of role. And it was fine against Fulham. People talk about that Fulham game, and the only reason people are going to criticize Manchester United for that game is because Manchester United and because of the pressure that the idea that people have of Erik Ten Hag, and they believe that he should have been sacked long ago. That was a fine performance. They were in control of that game for the most part. They created some good chances, just didn't get the goals. Eventually, they got a late winner. But if that was one of the better teams, that was like a Liverpool or a Spurs or a Newcastle in their first game, nobody would have batted an eyelid. It was just the fact that it was Manchester United and people were expecting the big splash, and they haven't absolutely bombarded Fulham. They haven't won 2 or 3-0. Oh, this is a bad performance. It was an absolutely fine performance, and they actually looked more in control than they did for pretty much all stages last season. Then they go away to Brighton. We lose 2-1. But that last goal is just inexcusable. I don't think you can't blame the manager for that. That is just schoolboy defending. The fact that everyone just cleared out and then from that back from the left side of the box, that's just pathetic. I mean, the fact that it would have been one thing if the ball was actually cleared significantly, like cleared up to the halfway line or something like that, and everyone kind of cleared out. It was the fact that the ball never left the edge of the box. And everyone still just cleared out and left those 3 Brighton players so free at the back post. Like, if Erik Ten Hag had any hair left, he would have been tearing it out. I mean, that was just absolutely abysmal. Shocking. Like, when you're defending it, until the ball is cleared, you stay in the zone that you're defending from the corner. You stay with the men that you're marking from the corner until the ball is cleared. That's just simple. And they didn't do that. And obviously it cost them a late winner. Again, what happened to that game? United had more possession, more passes, a better pass accuracy. But Brighton had more of a threat. Brighton had more shots on target. Brighton had a higher XG. The 2 goals were just so avoidable for Manchester United. Like, it was just absolutely shocking. Like, Maguire, the pressure Maguire was under, I kind of get why he didn't want to just swing a leg at that cross, because he probably thought it was going to end up in his own goal. I feel I want my centre back to have the confidence to swing a leg at that and at least know that you're going to be able to get it over the bar. He should have dealt with that when it was first brought in. It wasn't the keeper's ball. It was curling away from goal. And Maguire should have dealt with it. But then again, Martinez should have been in front of Welbeck in the box, and he wasn't. So Martinez should have been there to cover the mistake that Maguire initially made. So bad from both players, but such an avoidable goal. I feel like better organized teams, legitimate teams that know what they're doing would not concede a goal like that. And then the second goal, like I already mentioned, just shocking schoolboy stuff. Really poor from Casemiro, just really poor from the whole team. I don't know how they can just clear out all one side of an area without ever clearing the ball, without the ball ever leaving the edge of the box. It was just really, really poor. But Manchester United could have been dominant in that game. It's just the movement of the ball is so slow. The few times they actually got their press to work correctly, the few times where they actually moved the ball quick, they had joy. They got in behind. It's just, I don't know what it is that they can't do it consistently. Like Brighton were well organized. They were very well set up off the ball. But the best way to break that down is by playing the ball quick. And when Brighton are in possession, where they like to pass it around, you have your press working and you'll turn the ball over. That's the best way to defeat that Brighton team. And there was a few moments where they did that and it worked and they got chances. But it was just so inconsistent with how they did it. And then especially in the first half, it's always going to look awkward when you're not playing with a striker. And then we've got Rashford, who's just absolutely useless. And Diallo is still playing a little bit too safe for me. I'm not totally enthused with how he's playing the game, but I get it. He's trying to lock down that spot on the right wing. I'd like to see him to start to take a few more risks and really go at his man that little bit more. But I don't know. Do they just not have enough players that are comfortable taking the ball with their back to goal? Is that an area where maybe that's what's stopping them from playing the ball quicker? It's really tough to understand what is wrong with this Manchester United team. And looks like they're going to sign Ugarte now. Is he really going to be this unbelievable difference maker? What way is the team going to look now? Is he a replacement for Casemiro? Are him, Casemiro, and Mainu going to play together? I'm really intrigued to see what the plan is here, because I don't think you could just take Casemiro out of the team, because I think some of the times when we're playing good football and forward passes and good moves going forward, I feel like Casemiro is often involved in them. He is an excellent transition passer, an excellent just aggressive forward passing player, and also he's very dominant in the air. I mean, that's not something you can just lose on your team and say, all right, yeah, we'll get rid of him, we'll bring in another player. I guess Ugarte maybe be able to cover the space a bit better. He'll be solid in terms of like interceptions and tackles. And don't get me wrong, we need that as well. I'm just not so sure if we can just replace him or replace Casemiro with Ugarte. I'm going to need to see more from Ugarte. It'd be interesting to see how much we would miss Casemiro's general presence in midfield and when defending on set pieces as well. I'm interested to see how that looks moving forward. But a big thing I think to defend Erik Ten Hag is we still haven't seen them play with their best team yet. We aren't going to see it for a while. We desperately need Luke Shaw to be fit. My God, we need that so badly. Like, I really want to see, straight after the international break, I want to see our team be Onana in goal, Dalot at right back, De Ligt centre back, Martinez centre back, Shaw left back, Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno Fernandes in front of them, Garnacho on the left, Xerxes up top, and Ahmad on the right. That appears to be our best team right now, and I want to see them actually go and play with that. Next week against Liverpool, I think he will be a very brave and possibly stupid man if that is not the team other than Shaw. Shaw's still not going to be fit. So it's still going to be Mazraoui at right back, Dalot at left back. But I think He's brought him on in both games, so clearly he is the choice over Harry Maguire. Put him in the starting lineup. Garnacho, yeah, he wasn't overly impressive when he came on either. But Rashford has been absolutely dreadful for about 18 months now, and yet he won't drop him from the team. I mean, just give the other guys a chance. Like, start Garnacho and Diallo. Maybe Rashford will thrive only playing the last 15, 20 minutes against tired defenders. Give them the shot. Those guys are our future. Rashford is not like he's doing anything that those guys aren't going to do. It's not like he's showing good performance. It's not like this is hit and miss. He is consistently playing below average. He is consistently offering 3, 4 out of 10 performances. And yes, Garnacho has some similar weaknesses to Rashford in terms of losing the ball, in terms of not being strong enough when on the ball. But I still think he's our future. I think he could be our best goal scorer if he gets enough opportunities. I have a sneaky suspicion he might be the best finisher we have in our team right now. But I want to see him on the left and Ahmad on the right. I would like to see what Haaland through the middle, but he's still out for another while. So Xerxes will have to do for now. But we need to play with a legitimate striker. We need to get Bruno in his best position. There is still a lot more to come from this Manchester United team. I think everyone's made up their mind. A lot of people, too many people, have made up their mind that Erik Ten Hag is not a good coach and he's going to be sacked before Christmas. I think there is still something that he has to show, and I want to see them get the opportunity to really play consistently with their best team. And they need that opportunity, and hopefully it comes straight after the international break with Shaw returning, and just drop Marcus Rashford. My God, Erik Ten Hag, like, why are you continuing to play this guy? I know he was everything for you in your first season here, but since then, he's been an absolute nothing for you. He's offering nothing. It's not like he's getting in good positions. He's being caught offside. He's losing the ball. He's not creating chances. He's not scoring goals. He's missing sitters. Why is he always in the starting lineup? These are the things that make no sense. And these are kind of things in a way that might get Erik Ten Hag sacked. So I think he needs to be ballsy and make some big decisions. But they're still having those problems where it's just too slow, too predictable. I think they've been in more control in the opening 2 games than we saw last year, which I think is a good sign. Their press is working in spurts. It'll work for maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 moments during a game. It's just still not consistent. That's also a slight improvement on last year where it pretty much didn't work at all. So there is improvements there. We just need to see them play with their best team and see if they can do it more consistently. Can they do it for 90 minutes in a game? Can we see them do it over a 5, 10 game period? These are the things, these are the next steps that Erik Ten Hag needs to take. And he's got to be a bit bold in his starting teams. He's got to be willing to drop Rashford. He's got to be willing to put De Ligt in and Xerxes in. Put his new guys in. Yeah, he might say they're not fit yet. You know what? Give them a go. We need to see them out there, especially Xerxes. I think we need to see this team with a proper striker. It just offers a better balance. It's the case with any team in the league. There's just a better balance when you're playing with a striker. So I think he absolutely has to start next week. Whether he's able to go for 90 minutes or not, he has to be in the starting lineup. Still something to come from this Manchester United team. Don't count Erik Ten Hag out as manager just yet. But again, we need to see more, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing them play with their best team. Luke Shaw, if he can stay fit, I feel like he can be such a difference maker that really strengthens up that left side of defense. And Dalot can offer more as an attacking threat if we see him playing at right back. Final point, I would say, Ahmad, take a few more risks. Been a bit safe so far. I want to see him attacking more. I want to see him taking on his man more. I want to see him do that just a little bit more. I know he's trying to lock down his place, and it's better. Maybe the efficiency wise, the ball's not breaking down with him. I know he scored our goal there against Brighton, but he can do more. I want to see more from Ahmad, and really don't just do what you can to make yourself seem like the right man from the job. Go out and force Erik Ten Hag to make you our number 1 right wing option. On Brighton, I gotta say, I just love everything that Brighton do. The the way they just move on from manager to manager, it's the same philosophy. Nothing changes too much. Well organized, good attacking, bright young wingers, bright young forwards. They try to play football the right way. I love the formula of Brighton. It's just such a shame that they can't really take it to that next level because ultimately they are a selling club. Ultimately, they are dealing with a lot of young players, and it's tough to get consistency out of so many players. Like, I'm not even sure how many guys did they have in their starting team that were probably 25 or under yesterday. I'd say it was a pretty high number. The, the formula is great, and I love everything that they do. The only issue is can they get to that level where they're consistently up there top 16? They got into Europe last season. Obviously, kind of hurt them a little bit. They kind of hit the skids in Europe, and that kind of derailed their Premier League campaign. But there was also issues with the Zerbi, so it's going to be interesting to see how they grow from here. But obviously, a great start, 2 wins from two, battered Everton, great win over Manchester United. Things are again looking good for Brighton, and I expect them to be like a West Ham around they're one of those sneaky teams that will get results against some of the better teams, and maybe around Christmas, January, February, they're kind of within reach of those top six spots in the Premier League. So an interesting week two. Arsenal showed up and showed out. Manchester United showed the worst of themselves. Manchester City eventually got the job. They needed a little early wake up call, and then Erling Haaland just did what Erling Haaland does. Great wins for West Ham, for Liverpool, for Chelsea. This is going to be a very interesting season. Make sure you subscribe for much more so you think you know ball.